some of these cuts are going to be painful.
And joining us now is Danielle Moody, the host of The Danielle Moody Show, and Ahmed Baba, author of the Ahmed Baba's newsletter on Substack. Danielle and Ahmed, great to have both of you. So how much worse do you think, Danielle, it's about to get for your average American?
I mean, I think that it's going to be tremendously painful. The last shutdown that we had was in 2018. It lasted for 34 days, right? This was during Donald Trump's first term. We are already seeing, and we're 12 days in, we're already seeing lines of our military at food banks trying to get food for their families in their military outfits. And I think about that when I saw the photos and I saw the videos coming out of these long lines. And I think this is Trump's America. This is what he has done. And so this is just the beginning. 12 days in, most Americans, if an emergency were to come up, can't pay a $400 bill. So you're talking about not being able to get paid for weeks at a time. These are not people that have a job in a private sector that is lucrative. They are public servants because they believe in this country and they believe in working for this country. So the idea that they are going to go without for however long Donald Trump and the Republicans decide to keep on this charade is really disheartening.
What do you make of the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is sounding more like an anti-Trump resistor and somehow bringing in more logic, more reasoning into this debate than she is as a MAGA foot soldier?
I actually have a lot of thoughts on the Marjorie Taylor Greene pivot.
Let's have it. Give it to us.
I think we have some sound of her. And for people who don't know what she's sounding like, I actually think we should.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's play the sound. Thanks for calling it out. Go ahead.
Prices have not come down at all.
The job market is weak.
Job market is still extremely difficult.
Right.
Wages have not gone up. It shouldn't be about helping your crypto donors or your AI donors. The focus should be the people that showed up at the rallies, stood there for freaking 18 hours trying to get in the rain, in the cold, in the 100-degree heat. For those people, those are the ones that I care about.
If I didn't know who Marjorie Taylor Greene was, I'd be like, she's a member of the Democratic Party with that talking point.
Yeah, the footage still seems a little like a hallucination, so I have to gather myself watching it.
It's not AI, by the way. We verified. It's not an AI video. Yeah.
Involved. Really, what I think this is Marjorie Taylor Greene's one of the only Republicans that recognizes where this is headed.
Yep.
She sees that Donald Trump is weak. Right? He is below 40% approval rating. He's underwater on all key issues. Everything he's doing, the ICE raids, the tariffs, it's all backfiring on him politically. The generic ballot, we see Republicans are down. Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to position herself for a post-Trump GOP, I think.
Wow.
That's really what I think she's doing. I think it's not like some moral awakening.
Yeah.
She's not like suddenly like,
it's a political calculation, what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not a great awakening. She's just
But she's not afraid to speak up against the president, where I think a lot of Republicans who look at Donald Trump, I mean, immediately I think of the Lindsey Grahams and others, and I think that they probably are afraid of Mike Johnson, I think, is afraid of Donald Trump.
I mean, I think that when you listen to Marjorie Taylor, because I watched her on CNN and I thought that I was just like,
what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I was just like, is this the space lasers? Like, this is, but I'm agreeing with her. Like, am I in hell? And so, like, I listened to her and, you know, she told us before Donald Trump became president, she said, I am not the fringe of the party. I'm the mainstream, right? She told us that before we were taking MAGA seriously. She knows where the wind is blowing. So I agree with Ahmed that she knows this party, they are on their way out. And I am about the future. So, and she knows her constituents. And the difference is she actually cares about her constituents. And she's seeing that the GOP does not. She's talking about her adult children and not being able to afford health care. That's real talk, you know, coming out of where she is. So it's crazy to me that I live in a world where I have to agree with her.
If you're watching this show at home, do not adjust your cable channels. Danielle Moody is defending Marjorie Taylor Greene on MSNBC.
And then you call me out like that.
No, I mean, we are all.
She's been right more than twice a day lately.
I know.
What sort of scares me is the overshadowing mistrust that this is sort of exacerbating in the country, right? And that's when Trump does really well, right? When Americans stop trusting the government and stop trusting the Supreme Court and stop trusting the system. And at the end of the day, this is what that does, right? Like, it goes beyond the politics and beyond Democrats and Republicans. And at the end of the day, we're causing so much harm because tomorrow and in 2 weeks, there will be more and more mistrust. Like, does this not benefit Trump at the end, no matter what?
I mean, I think because the way he handles things, it always backfires on him. I think what he's trying to do with that trust aspect is important because the distrust in institutions is a key part of his tactic, is that he and Russell Vought are exploiting this moment to accelerate Project 2025. And I've been writing about that since 2023, been ringing this alarm about how Russell Vought and Trump, the fundamental core of Project 2025 is to twist the federal government into a tool of the far right. In order to do that, you have to purge nonpartisan civil servants and replace them with loyalists so that there's no pushback, right? Because the first term, the reason why we didn't see all of this is because there was people like Mark Esper that would say, no, Trump, you actually can't shoot protesters in the legs. And no, we can't have alligators outside of the border wall. Remember, that was a real like, we have alligators. But now, if you purge all the nonpartisan civil servants and you insert these loyalists, you get that unmitigated, unchecked unitary executive.
People forget that Jeff Sessions at one point recused himself, and that's how we ended up getting not only Bill Barr, but I was going to say we got Bob Mueller. That was actually launched by Jeff Sessions and Ron Rosenstein at the time. So there were some people who were willing to say to Trump, like, hey, we're going to try to do the right thing even if you don't want us to.
Are you at all keeping an eye on some of the moderate Democrats? And, like, to what extent do you think they really have the stomach to stay in this fight?
I mean, I think the longer this goes on, I think we're seeing it's actually playing out in Democrats' favor polling-wise. So I think as long as the polling, especially with the ACA, that's an 80-20 issue, and you can't get 80-20 on really anything these days. And I think what we should actually be starting to do, even though whether it discomforts the moderate Dems or not, I actually agree with your take in your recent piece on expanding the message. Yeah, I read it. Yeah, no, I'm on top of it. Like, I think there's a way to tie Trump's authoritarianism to prices. Authoritarianism has a cost. Right? The tariffs, the things that are dismantling the economy and damaging it, they're based on an emergency declaration, right? They're based on an abuse of power. The ICE raids, targeting the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment rights, that is an abuse of power that's also damaging local economies, right? And I think there's this connection you can make between the two, that Trump's authoritarianism is actually raising prices in a real meaningful way. And I think you can broaden the message beyond just the healthcare costs and say these abuses of power are impacting you in your personal lives.
I mean, look,
You read my piece, obviously, right?
I did.
Okay, great.
Right? But I don't want to take this shine. I want people to go there
and read it for themselves.
And read it for themselves. I don't want to give it up. But what I will say is that to even call yourself a moderate Democrat in extreme times doesn't even make sense to me. And it's not at all what the people actually want in this country. We're battling extremists. We're battling people who no longer believe in the Constitution. We have the president right now sitting wherever he is in the White House debating on invoking the Insurrection Act. And we're talking about like moderation, really, because they haven't been moderate at all in the last several months that they've been in office. They have been accelerating this fascist grab. And so I think that, yes, to your point about the prices and tariffs, like you can go to the grocery store and you know that the olive oil costs more today than it did 3 months ago, than it did a year ago. And so people feel that. And it's up to Democrats to tell that story, but they can't tell it in moderation because we're running out of time.
And there's one thing I just have to add, because I feel like it's missing from the conversation, is the federal purges are impacting black people the hardest. 7.5% unemployment. 18% of the federal workforce was black people before he took office. Anti-DEI policies is having a direct impact on black Americans. Every abuse of power he does directly impacts Americans' pocketbooks.
Yeah, and as the New York Times was reporting, he was also firing black officials or trying to fire black officials at a higher rate than anyone else. So it is also an alarming trend that is on brand for this administration. Ahmed Baba, Danielle Moody, please read the article. It's really good.
What's happening in Washington isn't just a budget fight. It's a slow burn crisis hitting real people where it hurts. Civilian federal employees are missing paychecks. Military families are lining up at food banks. And millions of Americans, already one emergency away from financial trouble, are now feeling the squeeze. A government shutdown isn't abstract. It means delayed pay, stalled services, and shrinking trust in the very system meant to protect them. And while this pain spreads, something even more interesting is happening on the political stage. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, that Greene, is suddenly sounding more reasonable. She's talking about prices, wages, and working class frustration like a populist Democrat. But don't be fooled. This isn't a moral awakening, it's strategy. She can smell Trump's weakness. His approval is sliding, his policies are backfiring, and the Republican base is restless. Green isn't abandoning MAGA, she's positioning herself for the post-Trump era. Meanwhile, Trump's team thrives on chaos. Every day this shutdown continues, trust in institutions erodes. And the weaker the system looks, the stronger the "only I can fix it" narrative becomes. That's the real game here. Not budgets, but power. Democrats have a slight polling advantage, but soft messaging won't cut it. They need to draw a direct line between authoritarian policies and everyday economic pain. Higher prices, fewer services, weaker communities. This shutdown isn't random. It's part of a bigger strategy to break trust, consolidate power, and rewrite the rules. And if Democrats, moderates, and voters don't recognize that, they'll keep reacting to the chaos instead of controlling it.